All right, happy Sunday. It is Sunday drop day. And guys, for the first time in a while, we are going to be doing all of our drops today. In theory, that is the plan. Sometimes things doesn't happen as planned. We're going to start off with NFL. Then we've got IndyCar. And then we got NASCAR. And yes, wait for it. We're going to be talking some college football later on in the day in our last drop of the day with Adam Jividan. Up next will be Derek Vance at the Push to Pass podcast. And when we're talking IndyCar, they're up in Ontario. And then we're going to recap Richmond's race last night with Steve Wilson, editor-in-chief of Speedway Digest. And then Adam Jividan, he returns. And that's right. We are going to be talking college football. But join us now. We're going to be talking NFL. And that NFL is underway. The camps have broken for the most part. Preseason games are underway. A lot of stuff happening. Ed Kracz joins us back from Baltimore last night. Ed, first of all, how are you? Happy Saturday to you.
Yeah, happy Sunday today, I think, isn't it?
It is Sunday. I don't know. Half the time I do drops on Saturday, and sometimes I do on Sunday, and usually we start on a Saturday. So there you go.
I know, but yeah, it is Sunday. Okay, so I didn't miss a day yesterday with going back and forth to Baltimore.
It is Sunday, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, give us a recap. I mean, the Ravens take care of the Eagles in the preseason opener. Nothing to be worried about. Again, a lot of people, as people say, it's just preseason, but it's also people, as we say every year, they're trying to earn their spot on the roster. So you're going to see some of the not so elite players mixed in with some of the elite players. Obviously, the Eagles fall to Baltimore at home, 7-24. Ed, tell us what have you learned this week with the Eagles, and what'd you learn there in Baltimore this week?
Yeah, the Eagles' offense was just awful. They didn't play again. They didn't play anybody, but it's still a chance for your rookies to kind of step up. And the Eagles' first-round pick hasn't practiced all summer. Mekhi Lemon, he's got a hamstring, so he didn't play. Who knows when he's going to play? But this was an offense that they're still learning Sean Mannion's scheme, this and that. But they had 2 first downs and 80 yards of total offense with 5 minutes to go in the game. Not good, obviously.
Right.
Probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen from this team. But again, like you said, it's preseason, and you'd like to see somebody do something good, but I can't point to anyone. I know their rookie quarterback came in, Cole Payton, and he led him on the touchdown drive with like 2 minutes to go in the game, threw a nice 6-yard touchdown pass. But a lot of his stuff was off schedule. He had to run the ball because he really had some happy feet back there, and he did a nice job running the ball, 3 carries, 45 yards, but all his plays were kind of off schedule. They weren't within the context of the offense. So it wasn't a good performance from them. And, the Ravens, they made the Ravens quarterback for their 4th string quarterback from UConn, Joe Fagnano, look like, $1 million. He was great. He's 22 for 28, 233 yards, a couple touchdowns. And I don't think he's even going to make their team. So, they're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks. So maybe someone can claim him. Joe Fagnano really looked good, but it was a bad game all around. The Eagles have to turn the page, and they're going to New England this week for joint practices. That means, seeing their old friend AJ Brown again. Be interesting to see if he talks to the media. But and then
more interesting. What will he say to the media?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be real interesting. I'm not sure he talks, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But there's joint practices are Wednesday and Thursday, and then they play again on Saturday in New England for the second preseason game. But they have a lot to clean up. They have a lot to work on. There were a couple good, players I thought looked good, but a lot more duds than studs in this one for the Eagles.
Well, I'll say one thing about the Patriots. We'll get back to the Eagles here in just a second. They didn't beat the Colts. So there you go.
Yeah, they didn't lose to the Colts either, though.
Colts either, did they?
Yeah, The
Crazy.
dreaded tie. Yeah, they don't have
Oh
overtime.
my goodness! But the NFL, Ed, the NFL preseason is always crucial for a lot of players. It's
Oh yeah.
perform or expect to be cut for a lot of prospects. That could be the case for defensive lineman Ty Robinson coming into the 2026 preseason. On the eve of the team's preseason opener, Phillies voice Jimmy Kimsky, I believe, named
Right.
Robinson one of the team's roster bubble players. Um, However, Kempsey ranked each bubble player and placed them and Robinson at number one. The Eagles insider sees the second-year defense lineman making the cut. What are your thoughts about Ty Robinson?
Yeah, I don't think he's really on the bubble. And he played well last night. He had a nice 7-yard sack. He had 3 tackles. Looks a lot more flexible this year. Last year he came in as a rookie, 4th-round pick, and that's another reason I don't think he is in danger. The Eagles don't go around cutting 4th-round picks that often. They give him a couple years.
Right.
So, he showed some flexibility. I talked to him after the game in the locker room. He's a really good kid. I mean, he's from Nebraska. He's a pre-med student. He took pre-med while he was in college, so he's balancing playing football and studying pre-med. And yeah, he's an impressive person. Talks a lot about biomechanics and stuff way over my head and above my pay grade.
Yeah,
but he said he needed to get more flexible and a little more, bendable. He was kind of too stiff. He can't, he just bulked up to get ready for the combine and, just kept lifting and getting stronger, and he lost some of his flexibility. So he kind of worked this off season. He stayed in Philadelphia, worked on his flexibility, worked on, getting a little more, bendable at the point of attack and quicker. And I think in the beginning part of camp, and that's probably why Jimmy put him on his bubble, was because he didn't show much, in the early days of camp. And, you say this about the Eagles defensive front. I think it could be one of the best in football, the defensive line. So what he's competing for probably is the 5th D tackle spot behind, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Morto Ajomo, and then Byron Young has really asserted himself as the first reserve off the bench on that defensive tackle group. So Ty's probably battling for the 5th D tackle spot. I don't think they'll keep 6 because they'll probably have to keep 5 on the outside too. Again, it's a strong defensive edge group with Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, and AJ Epinesa, who I thought played well last night in Baltimore, and so did Arnold Ebiketie. I thought those 2 guys, they're going to be your backups. And then you still have Jonathan Greenard, who the Eagles traded for from the Vikings, who they were really high on, good pass rusher, but he's been dinged with a pec strain. He hasn't practiced all camp either, so who knows when he's going to be ready. But, those are probably your 10 guys you're keeping. So I haven't seen anybody better than Ty Robinson on that defensive line outside of the first 4 guys I mentioned. So I think he's got a spot on this team.
What about your rookie defensive tackle, you are Bernard? What are your thoughts about his progress?
He's just light years away. And Vic Fangio even said that, the defensive coordinator, when he gets asked about him every time he comes out for his press conference. And he's like, listen, you can move on from that topic. He's light years away. But it'll be interesting to see what the Eagles do with this guy. He's never played football in his life. He's from Africa. He played basketball, physical specimen. But I'll tell you, when I watch him in camp, I watched him last night. He was in for a few snaps. He just stands straight up at the point of attack. He's a defensive tackle, and you can't stand straight up. You got to, stay low and push forward. And, he's easy to block because he stands up. You get right into his ribs as an offensive lineman. So I haven't seen him kind of learn that part of it yet. And I'm not sure the Eagles will keep him on the roster. I don't see how they can. So I think they'll probably try to cut him and get him to the practice squad, but maybe someone will take him. I doubt it. I just don't think he's anywhere near ready to play in an NFL game.
Well, there's 2 preseason games left. You guys have the Patriots and the Bengals being the last preseason game left. What are you think the biggest things that the Eagles have to do in these next games to prove to the fan base that you guys are still Super Bowl caliber?
Well, you'd like to see a receiver step up other than Devontae Smith. And again, he's another one that has missed most of camp with a hamstring injury, but he's obviously a proven guy. He's been over 1,000 yards a few times in the league. but he's not playing. So, trading away A.J. Brown, you need somebody to step up in that second receiver role. And you hope Mekhi Lemon could eventually be that. But again, we haven't seen him at all. So we don't even know if he's a good player. I mean, it's interesting. The Ravens had this Ja'Cory Lane last night, who was a third-round pick from USC, and Mekhi Lemon was the first-round pick from USC. They were teammates. And Lane had a touchdown last night, caught 3 passes, 39 yards. And, there's Mekhi Lemon sitting on the bench, not doing anything in his sweatpants. So you need somebody to step up. But, people think it could be Dontavion Wicks, the guy they got in a trade from the Packers. He didn't play last night. It could be Elijah Moore. He's had a nice camp, but he only played a few snaps. So, they're really searching for someone to step up at the receiver position. So I think that's going to have to be what you're looking at going forward in these last couple games in the summer. And again, that's specifically speaking with the receivers, but generally speaking, the offense is you'd like to see some growth within this new offensive scheme of Sean Mannion's. I mean, to just have 2 first downs in the first, 55 minutes of a football game, you're going to get trounced every time if you can't hold on to the football. And then the penalties. The Eagles had a penalty problem last year late in the season. It really, they'd get a good play and it would be called back for a penalty. And so, suddenly a 1st and 10 becomes 1st and 20 because it was holding and they couldn't get out of those holes. And we saw it again last night. They had 10 penalties for almost 100 yards. Nothing seemed to change. So you really have to make sure you're cleaning up those mistakes too going forward. So, it's all to me all about the offense. They got to get better. I think the defense is very good. The Ravens only had 7 points, I think, through 2.5 quarters. And then the defense, you're running third string guys out there and the offense can't keep the ball. So you're wearing down. It's a hot night. But I think defense is going to be fine. It's just all my questions come on the offensive side of the ball. And that's what you have to watch for the rest of this summer.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to my Indianapolis Colts. The Colts preseason opener with the New England Patriots, as we mentioned earlier, finished in a tie. Coming out of that game, there were some positive developments that took place and some questions that still linger, but there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I don't know that we're going to get them all answered here in the preseason. I just know that Steichen and Ballard have got to do more than better. They have got to be basically a whole new caliber team. And I don't even know if anything short of winning the AFC South is going to be enough to save their jobs. We'll see what happens. I mean, Steichen's been good for Indianapolis. And a lot of people would say probably if we had to choose between the two to go and choose one, they would choose Ballard to go over Steichen because Ballard has had more than enough opportunities to prove himself. But I think they both know that their time is coming close to an end if they can't turn things around. And the new owner and the daughter of Jim Irsay, Carly Irsay Gordon, has preseason. So she's either going to have to keep what she said and be the firm leader that she says she is, or she's going to back down, and we'll see how that plays out. So, I mean, here, there's still some questions around the quarterback and the cornerback. I mean, our pass rush depth, is it good enough? This has been one of the big questions facing the Colts all off season, and we still don't have a clear answer. What we do know is that Adrian K is likely to start opposite of Latala. He did not play in the preseason opener. And then you've got Jalen Tupalola, and people just got to have names. I'll just start saying JT. If I say JT, you know that I can't pronounce the whole name. And Michael Clemens, or next in the depth chart, had quiet games against New England's backup offensive line. The two were in the field for 46 pass rushes and generated 1 total pressure. Rookie Kalen Curry, meanwhile, had an excellent game and should get more looks in practice and to see if he's can give the rotation a boost. So I feel pretty solid about him. But the thing about it is the key thing is we played against the backups of the Patriots, and we had some key starters mixed in with that, and it still only ended with a tie. Very disappointing. What are your thoughts about the Colts? What have you seen from them? What questions do we have to help get it answered for, sir?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You have to temper some things that players do in the preseason because you have to look at who they're going against. Who are those sacks against that you're mentioning with the Patriots? Was it the third string tackle or the center? I mean, still you win your rep, and that's great, and that looks good on film. And you're not always playing for the team you're on. You're playing for other teams across the league who might see something that they like and could be ready to pick you up once you get cut. So, those guys showed some good film. And if you're the coaching staff, you're probably thinking, all right, let's see what they can do in practice against our number one line. Let's see if they're still, as good as they were against the Patriots' third string defense or offensive line. So, you don't want to get rid of good football players. And, some of these guys, they're diamonds in the rough and they show a little bit in the preseason, and you continue to develop them, and then you take a chance and hang on to them. So I like this Colts roster, though. I don't know how many jobs are out there. I guess, on the defensive front, you're probably looking for guys that can make plays, but I think it's a good roster. I think it's a roster that can win the division. I mean, it's a sneaky good division in there with the Texans and the Jaguars won 13 games, I think, last year the Jags did. So, you're going to have to take a big step up. But again, if Indiana Jones can stay healthy, that's my favorite nickname in football right now. If he could stay healthy, then, the Colts have a shot, and you're right. They didn't play anybody. It's wise not to play Jones coming off the Achilles last year. You want to keep him as healthy as you can for when the season starts for real. But yeah, I like this roster. I think it's pretty good. And the Patriots, of course, went to the Super Bowl and they were playing subs, and, they have a pretty good roster. And I think 13-13 tie is something you can build on. Nobody likes a tie. There's no overtime rules in football, so that's how it ended. Thank God there's no overtime rules in football. Nobody wants to sit through an extra 10 minutes of preseason football, especially me. So, I think that's a good result. I think Anthony Richardson showed some decent stuff. He still looks to take off pretty quickly. I think he had led the team in rushing. Of course, Jonathan Taylor didn't play. That would certainly be different if he played. But, I thought Richardson showed some good stuff. I mean, it's a battle to be the backup behind Indiana Jones, I think, between Richardson and Riley Leonard. And, I would say Richardson probably got a leg up in that competition.
And here's the thing. He was asked, during camp and media availability, where is he standing on this trade? And is he still wanting to be traded? And he's like, I have no idea. I absolutely have no idea. He says, and he left. He said, I'll leave all that to my agent and to the team. And he goes, I want to play football. That's what I want to do. And he says, I hope to play here. He said all the right things, but he just doesn't know. But before the games, Shane Steichen said on a few occasions that the backup competition is very close. And calling the battle back and forth recently, presumably that there's still things to stand. And I think a lot of people presumably thought Riley Leonard would be the QB2 right behind, Daniel Jones, and Anthony Richardson would be a QB3 with his way out the door. But now, like you were just saying, it looks like there's a competition between Riley Leonard and Richardson. So we'll definitely see how that plays. It's just it's as the world turns here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and you hate to give up on a guy you took fourth overall 3 years ago or whatever it was, right. But they've certainly had a chance to evaluate him, not even just on the field, but off the field, what kind of person he is and how he's maturing. I mean, I think he was 21 years old when they drafted him. So
he was young,
young guy. You just hate to give up on somebody like that, and you need 3 quarterbacks. I don't know who the fourth one is, but we only saw Richardson and Leonard on Thursday night. So, those 2 guys could make the team. And it's good. He did say all the right things. Usually you hear players say, it's such a cliche, I'm just going to be where my feet are at the moment. And right now it's in Indianapolis, and move along. Next question. But, he said the right things, and you hope he's maturing off the field, on the field. He seemed to got hurt and takes himself out of games. And, the perception is that, he's not there to get better or to learn or to play football. But you hope he's changing that. You hate to see these guys fail when there's so many expectations on him. But he could still be a trade bait. But then who's your third string quarterback after Indiana and Riley Leonard? I mean, do you have one? I don't know.
I don't know if we've if they've got that lined up or not. Well, moving on, we got a limited amount of time here, and so I want to talk about my new man crush, Mr. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana University, the number one draft pick of all time, the Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, acclimates after acclimates, and gets drafted in the first round of the Raiders. And what happened with the Raiders? He came in, he made his first NFL start within his first NFL snaps, and he gets his first NFL touchdown. Holy cow, the Messiah has come. I still got to get my Raiders hat. Oh, number 15 jersey, man. I tell you, I typically have not been a Raiders fan, but I am certainly a fan of a Raiders player. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Fernando Mendoza, though, honestly, in all seriousness, if you're a Raiders, and you know what, of course, I had it tuned in a little bit. I noticed just throughout the entire stadium how many number 15s there were. That tells you that a fan base is really excited. And you hate to compare him to Peyton Manning, but I feel the energy in Vegas with the Raiders that we felt here in Indianapolis when Peyton Manning came. It's the same sort of buzz. So is he the future Peyton Manning? Who knows? But he's definitely been accepted there in Vegas, and I'm really excited to see him. So that said, Ed, give me your professional thoughts about Fernando Mendoza and the Raiders.
Yeah, that fan base needs somebody to get excited about. I mean, Max Crosby's been there forever, but there's some cracks in his happiness, right? He's not sure he wants to stick around there. So Mendoza brings new life to an organization that needs somebody just like that. And doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of 15 jerseys in the crowd, in that game. And Ashton Genty, you might start seeing some number 2s pop up with him. Last year's number 1 pick, I thought, he played some limited snaps, but he had a couple good runs. He averaged over 5 yards a carry, just 3 carries. But that's those 2 guys in the backfield could give the Raiders some hope. Again, another tough division, that AFC West with the Broncos and the Chargers and the Chiefs. It's hard to separate yourself from that group, but you hope you can at least get to 500 this season. I don't know how much Mendoza is going to play, right? I think they already kind of named Kirk Cousins the starter.
Yes.
But that could change. But Kirk Cousins did nothing in that game to jeopardize his status as the starter week 1. I mean, he had 1 series, he led the team on a touchdown drive. So I think he was 5 for 6, 50 yards. So, he played well, and he's the veteran voice, and that that's not a bad thing for Fernando Mendoza to sit for a while. That's how it used to be done in the olden days, 10 years ago, the olden days.
if you're a rookie quarterback and to be behind Kirk Cousins and carry the clipboard for Kirk Cousins, I mean, to me, that's a gift to you. So, exactly. We move on. One more game before we got to wrap it up, put a bow on it, and get to our IndyCar talk. Some takeaways from the Dallas Cowboys in their preseason win. Let's talk a little bit about Caleb Downs. I mean, his Cowboys debut was short lived, but you should or could feel the excitement when it was announced that Downs would start. But Dallas only wanted the number 11 overall pick to get his feet wet. So Caleb Downs, Nate Thomas, Jonathan Mingo, those are all people that made some notable good, bad, or indifferent for the Cowboys in their preseason win. What do you thought about the Cowboys?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to really see that game. I think that was the 8:00 game on Saturday night, and I was, busy with the Eagles, and then, in the locker room afterwards. So I didn't really get a chance to look at it and see. I did see that Cowboys won 17-7. Not really sure who played. I don't think the starters played for either team. You mentioned Caleb Downs. I don't know how many snaps he played, but they love Caleb Downs there. I mean, he's the number 1 pick. He might have been the best player in the draft. He fell to them at, I think it was number 10. Everybody loves Caleb Downs. He could be a real linchpin for Christian Parker's defense, and that's really going to be the tale of the Cowboys season, is how that defense, that rebuilt defense, can hold up. And I'm not sure if guys like Rashawn Gary played or anybody else on that defense that, is was supposed to be pretty good. So I don't know, but they held the Seahawks to 7 points. So, that's a good start. But again, I don't know who the Seahawks played, on their offensive line or defensive line. So, it's hard to play. I know Dak didn't play, and that offense isn't really the question. It's the defense. So I would say, just looking at it without really seeing it, 7 points is a pretty good start for the Dallas defense.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles in SI.com. We appreciate you joining us in our preseason talks. We are definitely going to have more talks as the season goes along. What are you working on this week, sir? What are your plans with the Eagles and the Patriots? And where can people find your work and masterpieces, sir?
Yeah, you can find it at Kratze, Krazze on the X, and yeah, I guess the Patriots, right? I mean, that's kind of going to be what we're looking at. The Eagles only have one availability here in Philly on Monday. They have a practice. Tuesday's kind of a walkthrough travel day up to New England, and then it's 2 days of practices, and we'll see about AJ Brown, and then they play Saturday, and then we're one game left in the preseason, so it's flying by.
It is flying by. And, take this time. Hey, fantasy football is coming up. And Ed, I know I ask you every year, you're going to say no, but we always have a spot open for you if you decide you want to join us. So our roster is almost full, guys. We've only got room for about 2 more people unless Ed decides he wants to join us. So
you're putting me on the spot here.
No, it's all good. But and remember, guys, you can find us all on YouTube. All of our podcasts, good, bad, or indifferent, are all there on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast platform. Ed, we appreciate you joining us. We'll catch up with you very soon, sir.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.